Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today it is a little bit different. I'm doing a sit down video and I'm here to share my biggest renter hacks that I've tried and then how they've actually worn over time, or have they been as revolutionary as I had hoped. And basically I'm thinking the idea of this video is that it would be helpful and actually I can make mistakes for you before you actually go and do them yourself. And then the things that have really worked, I can endorse them and say, go do them. It's going to work out really well for you. As always, I just think it's really important to be honest and not just like do a bunch of stuff that looks good and then move on and never address it ever again. So all of the things in this video I've had completed and just been functioning with them for at least a year, and I'd say the majority of the stuff has been over 2 years, so it's a good amount of time to, you know, have a good picture of how they do and how they hold up. So I mean, let's just get to number one. The first one is the bathroom side panel that I did, which I was really proud of because I hadn't really seen anybody else do this sort of thing on top of vinyl, so that it was really quite renter friendly. And I don't think I've really seen anything like that since. I could be wrong, you know, I haven't perused the entire internet, but I put down a layer of peel and stick vinyl on the bath side first. It was a bit of an uneven panel as it was, and so I had to just sort of work with what I got. So like there's bits that kind of went in and whatever, which I tried to even up as I went along with what I was doing, but you know, it's not perfect because the underside is not perfect as it started out. But yeah, I put vinyl down, which was kind of the basic foundation for which I would be able to just peel things off when we move out. And then I bought some peel and stick vinyl wood panels, which are actually quite thick because they're meant for flooring, and so they're very sturdy, but I basically cut those to put on top of my peel and stick vinyl sheet and make sort of a wood panel effect going along. And then I put a bendy, that's like foam peel and stick trim along the top, and I did like 2 layers of this, and that was just to kind of finish it off and make it look nice. And then I primed it all. I like filled in any gaps or where anything met that I wanted to cover up. And then I did 2 coats of multi-purpose waterproof paint from Chic over the top, and then I did a tough coat as well, which is like a clear coat that I also got from Chic, just to make it more sturdy and able to hold up to the level of water that might vacate the bath on any given children's bath time. And to be fair, I get quite a lot of water everywhere when I have a bath too, so it's not just the kids. And then obviously, you know, sealed it all off properly with bathroom sealants around the sides, top, bottom. So I felt pretty confident that it was going to hold up reasonably well, but you know, you just never know over time. And actually it really has. I've been genuinely surprised that it's still very much intact and it's all still waterproof. The only thing, which is actually only in the last kind of month that I've noticed it, is along the kind of bendy trim thing that I put along the top. There's been a few like tiny chips out of the paint layers, and I think that is because it is a more foamy, I keep on saying foamy, I don't think it's foam, but it's like bendable plastic. I don't know, I think it's because of the surface, even though it was primed, like, but it's at the top where it receives the most amount of water. Like, I think that's what it is, because there's been nothing on the vinyl wood panels that has chipped off or anything. So I think that's what it is, and I haven't done it yet, but I can very easily just patch those back up, do a bit of primer, a couple of layers of paint, and then do a bit more of the tough coat over the top. So it's no big deal. But I mean, I think probably if I did it now, I would just use a length of wood trim and then do the other steps that I did to the bottom half to make it waterproof, seal it as well, and I think it'd be fine. So I would do that if I was going to do it again, but it's held up really well and I've been really impressed. And I'm really proud because I thought I did myself. Number 2, which I get a lot of questions about, particularly on Instagram, is about the kitchen vinyl. So in the kitchen, first off, when we first moved in, I vinyled all of the cabinets. So just pin and stick vinyl, and it was a lengthy process. I will tell you that. It's not quick, but it did make a massive difference, particularly because the cupboards were really all very dark in there. Actually, some of them weren't matching because the landlord just didn't care. Like, he was like, oh yeah, just replace them with a black, even though that's dark wood, it's fine. And for someone like me, it was like, but I didn't like them anyway. So I covered them, and that did work out well. And then also I covered the worktop with a marble peel and stick vinyl, which I then sealed around the edges as well, and around the sink and the cooker, and both I think held up surprisingly well. I'd done a lot of research into other people that had done it, and so it feels like it shouldn't stay intact, but actually it was pretty durable. So in terms of the cabinetry, I got a few nicks which were actually from my ring, and it just kind of like pulled it a little bit. So very tiny, it wasn't like a massive deal, but in general it was totally fine. And then the actual worktop, the same thing really, and like a few marks where I'd like obviously cut off the chopping board with a knife and it had kind of scored a bit. So that was to be expected really, and to be honest, not very obvious, but it wouldn't even be as obvious if the worktop underneath wasn't black or the cupboards underneath weren't dark wood. So nothing too crazy. I feel like both were a really good hack. The thing that I would do differently with the worktop is I did the actual worktop as a separate piece to the little bit that goes up the back, almost like a backsplash, but it's not really a backsplash. And then I sealed in between, so there's a line of sealer in between. And I just kind of wish that I didn't do that. I wish that I'd just done it as a one piece and carried it on. Or I think probably it just didn't need to be sealed if I just overlapped it slightly, the two bits of vinyl where they met. So I don't think that was necessary, and I feel like it just looks a little bit messy. But then also where, you know, I've got a 1 island, 2 islands, I mean they're not islands, worktop, and then I couldn't do like, it was just too complicated to do it all in one piece. And then when I joined it, I thought I was being really clever. I was like, I'm just gonna make sure that they're just joined so there's no overlap and it's all like exactly level. But actually that was the wrong thing to do. There should have been overlap, because with a bit of time, I don't know if it like shrinks a little bit or something, but it just kind of like pulled apart ever so slightly, so there was like a black line that you could see. And I then was like, okay, I'll just cut another bit of vinyl like as a strip and put it over the top, which, you know, from a distance looks okay, but it's not ideal. But obviously just like, it's quite easy for that to like lift a little bit, and then I've like super glued it back down, and then obviously like dirt gets underneath there. Just don't do that. Don't do that. Learn from my mistakes, please. But in general, it has held up really well. I've been very impressed. And considering how much a new worktop would cost, even if you weren't renting and you were going to replace, I feel like it is just a generally good, quick and easy hack. And the worktops definitely were less consuming in time than the cabinetry. So, and then with the cupboards, I didn't stop with just covering them in vinyl. I then did an update last year, which was to add wood paneling around the outsides of the cabinets on top of this vinyl, so it was still renter friendly. And then I kind of sealed all of that, corked it, and then I painted over the top to change the cabinet colour. I used a kitchen cupboard paint, and it's very durable. It's from Rust-Oleum, and I'd heard good things from other people, so I thought I'd give it a try, and I can vouch for it. It is very good paint. I have the matte, but even the matte is wipeable, so that's held up really well. And having the wood bits on the edge has made it even more durable, because I think it was the edges that were more likely to catch, and now there's wood on the edges. And also I've like corked in bits to kind of make it look more seamless, and I mean, it's a good time. It's a good time, the situation that I've got going on in the kitchen now. And if you have the energy to do the extra steps to make it look like my update even more durable. In fact, I might ask him when we leave, do you really want me to take all of this off? Because I could just paint it white and it's actually going to be in better shape than the cabinetry as it started out. Then we come on to the kitchen splashback, which again was something that I dreamed up, and I think there's pros and cons. Okay, so I'm going to tell you how to do it better than I did it. Essentially, I wanted to design my own tiles, and I wanted these like pretty painted tiles to go behind the cooker. So when I first did up the room, I didn't address it, and over time I was just more and more like, gosh, it's just this big black thing and it's just so intense. So I really wanted to put some tiles on there. I just thought, you know what, I'll just design some myself. And then I have used printed.com for a number of things over the years with my business, when I've designed for people, made wedding stationery and get it printed there, or like big display boards for events and stuff. I did some of those. So I know kind of what they're like and what the quality is like. And I remembered there was an outdoor signage option. You could choose a gloss coating and it was completely wipeable and waterproof. And so I was like, well, I mean, there's a custom size option, so I could just measure the size of this, get it printed, and then just whack it on there. Job's good. And it did work. And I used some strong double-sided tape to put it on there, which again is like, you can peel it off supposedly at the end fairly easily. But I mean, looks good and it is very wipeable, no issues with cleaning it or it being stained or anything. I put the little utensil rail over the top, finished it off really nicely. The problem came when I had a hot pan on the hob and it was my bigger one, so I didn't realise that I'd left it touching this splashback that I had printed. So there is now a big burn mark where it's actually gone through the layers of this faux splashback, and it's just I can't change that. I can't get it off now, so that is annoying. I did think when I first got it that I could add this, and I didn't, and I should have done. But I'll see if I can link this below if I can find it again, but I did see that there's like fairly thick clear protective films that can go on top of splashbacks. I think that's what it's designed for. Or I think maybe even just like if you haven't got a splashback and it's like a wall behind and you want to protect it from, you know, pans and things flying out of pans or whatever. And I should have got something like that, cut it to the right size and put that over the top, and I think that might have helped. If I was to do it again, that's probably what I would do. It was a good idea, and I just found like an image of some tiles that I liked, and then I painted and scanned it in and like photoshopped them together so that it looked quite realistic. Shame about that big old singe. Then whilst this was the first peel and stick wallpaper that I tried, and going great. It's actually been up for a year and it's good. But the peel and stick vinyl that I put on the wall in the downstairs bathroom, which was to create a block of colour with the peel and stick beading to go on top. And my thinking was, because I could have just painted it, and I should have just painted it, spoiler alert, but I just thought, oh well, if I put vinyl on and then I paint over the top of it, then I can just peel that off at the end rather than having to repaint over it, because realistically it wouldn't quite look the same colour and then I would just have to repaint the whole room anyway. So I was trying to save myself a bit of work at the end, but I don't think it was worth it. As I say, it wasn't designed to be wallpaper, so it was quite hard to like lay it easily on the wall. And then definitely at the corners, it's kind of pulled away a bit from the wall, and on one side there's like a split from where I tried to like push it back, and it just was like, nope. And then there have been a few times where I've noticed like a pocket of air, but I have managed to just sort of like use my little tool to scrape it back down, and it has been fine. But I just think for the effort and the finish at the end, it wasn't worth it. I wouldn't do it. Just paint the wall and then paint it back afterwards. So then the positive outcome from my ensuite, because the floor was such an epic fail, I'm going to talk about the shower, which is amazing. Again, I don't know that I'd necessarily seen somebody do the covering of the chrome around the outside before with vinyl. Maybe people have, but I didn't really have a reference point to know if it was going to work. But yeah, I covered all of that in black, and I went along the top with black as well, just so that the whole frame wasn't chrome, because don't like chrome. Too much chrome in this house, and none of it's peeled off. It stuck really, really well, even though there's like a lot of moisture with the shower, and obviously it's just on the outside. I didn't put it inside, so who knows how that would have gone. But yeah, it hasn't budged, and the faux reeded, is it reeded or reed glass that's peel and stick on the glass panels also is held up really, really well. It looks so much better, and also because you can't fully see through it, it means that you can't see as much of like the chrome taps and shower head and stuff like that inside. So that was a big win, and it wasn't massively time consuming or hard to do, so I'm still like, so I definitely say that was worth doing, and if I had the same situation in a future rented space, I would probably do the same. Next up is the window treatments, and by that I do not mean the curtains, I mean the window panes, or faux window panes, and the outside that I changed on some of them. So I applied various different methods over time, and so I have a little bit to chat about, and it's not all positive. I think the first one that I did was the main bathroom window, shortly followed by the downstairs bathroom window, and I basically just put black vinyl on the outside, which used to be white, and that, I have to say, has held up really, really well. And then I used black electrical tape to make a sort of crittle or window pane effect, and on both counts, both windows have held up amazingly. The tape hasn't like peeled off or anything, which I was half expecting it to do in the main bathroom, just because of all the condensation and stuff that happens when there's a bath. I just thought probably over time I'd have to replace it, but I haven't. It's been 2 years and I have not done anything to it, so that is quite amazing. Then I thought, well, that worked out so well, I'm gonna do the same thing on our living room windows and the door to the garden that goes out from the living room, but I'll do it with white because I'm not going to bother doing all the outsides, and I didn't really want to anyway. So I got the same kind of tape, just a little bit thinner, and put it on. Looked really great to start off with, although like really great, but because it was white, there was ever so slightly a little opacity to it, so where it crossed you could kind of see a little bit, like a little square that was darker, which bothered me. And then I did, I think, another layer on, so there were 2 layers of tape per pane or bar or crittle, gosh, I don't know the lingo, and maybe that's where I went wrong. I don't know, maybe that was the nail in the coffin. It didn't take very long for it to start looking pretty dire, so it just couldn't survive the condensation. And considering we don't get as much condensation in the living room as the bathroom, I was baffled. I was very, very confused. But yeah, it just started shrinking up and then genuinely peeling off, and by the end of it like whole strips had peeled down, particularly on the doors out to the garden. And sure, that it does get some condensation in the winter, but like, it's nothing wild. It's not like we've got loads of mold in there or anything, but it didn't work. Maybe I stretched the tape too much, because I think actually what helps is just trying to keep it straight and unstretched as you put it on, because then it's more likely to shrink back. Maybe it was the second layer on top. I'm not sure. All I'm going to say is it didn't work. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to have to reassess, because I can't really live with my window panes peeling off. It's not a vibe I really want to embrace. So I thought, I know, I'm going to use wood. Wood is solid. Wood does not shrink, or at least not to any noticeable level. So I went and got some wooden lengths and made sure they were like the thinnest that I could get and the flattest, and then I cut them all to size. I primed them and then painted them white. I think I spray painted them, and I think just to save time, because I was so done. I was using a little hand miter saw, which, you know, I just need to order one of those miter things that you can just cut by hand, because it's not even expensive. I just need to order one because it drives me crazy. That was the main reason that I was like almost driven to insanity doing it. So there's some advice. But I then stuck it on with some double-sided tape that was clear, that had a little bit of thickness to it, but not too much. And when you pressed it down, it kind of developed, if that's the right word, over time, so that the bonding became stronger and stronger. Now, obviously, I have not yet tried to remove these from the windows, but it does say on the listing, Amazon is telling me the truth, that it's removable. Like, you should be able to peel it off. So, as I say, I'm yet to be able to prove this theory, but it looks amazing. It really does look amazing. And when I put the other panels together with the long panel, I think in my head I was like, I'm probably going to have to fill in the joins with some wood filler and then paint over the top after sanding it. But you can kind of see a join, but it's not very obvious. And I just thought, nah, why bother? So that has worked out really well. Still looks just as good, and it's a year on now, and it's genius, if I do say so myself. That was another one that I just kind of thought up. I'm sure people have done it before, but and I haven't needed to like coat it in anything waterproof. I think maybe because it's the tape that's touching the window rather than the wood itself. Obviously, I wouldn't advise doing that outside on the other side of the window. But anyway, my one regret and my one piece of advice for anybody who wants to try that is, like I said, I was almost driven to insanity by the cutting. Spray painted it to try and be quick, and I didn't spray paint the other side. And I did think about it, because I was like, you'll be able to see it through the window, won't you? Like from the garden, you'll be able to see wood. And I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So you can see wood, but then you can also see like where the spray paint's gone through a little bit onto like the wood on the other side. So it doesn't look the tidiest, and realistically it should be painted the same colour as the UPVC doors and windows, so it does look just part of it from the outside. And I did think about that too, but then I was like, I can't be bothered to source the right colour, because it's not black, it's like a dark grey charcoal colour that's on the outside. So yeah, in hindsight, if I was going to do the job better, I would have done that, but it's a good hack. I would recommend. And it adds so much character to the room, I can't even explain. Finally, this isn't a huge thing, but it is a renter hack, and that is the puck lights in your wall lights, to avoid wiring, because you don't really want to be doing that when you're renting. And to be honest, some people do it when they aren't renting, because they just can't be bothered to rewire things. So this seems like a great idea, but I don't know if it's just the puck lights that I've been buying, but I have bought a number of them, but they just don't do anything. I mean, sure, there is some light, but I'd say it's less than a light from a candle. So actually it doesn't really light up anything. It's mainly for just sort of like slight ambience. I don't know. The ones in our bedroom, I ended up putting two, like one on top and one on the bottom, sandwiched, so that there could be light coming up and down, and even that, not great. And then I moved on to the rechargeable bulbs that actually look like a proper bulb, and I've put them in a few different places. Yeah, so like in the bathroom main lights, the main bathroom and the ensuite bathroom, and then some other places as well. So anyway, they are really good, and they like screw into the existing fitting. They do provide like more light. They're not like a normal light bulb, like a main ceiling light bulb. You're not going to get that much light, but that is good mood lighting where you can also see where you're going. But I have to say, I don't feel like they last as long as I think they said on the pack. I feel like I've had to recharge them more often than I expected, but those are good. The puck lights, not so good. Purely aesthetic, then fine. That's my take on that. Thank you so much for watching this video, sticking around to the end. I really hope that some of that will be helpful for you when deciding whether you want to do any of these hacks. I really always want to be transparent about how things work out, whether things last, whether things are worth the time, effort, money. And so I hope that you have a better idea just from my experience. If you would like to see more videos like this and room makeovers, thrifting, then please do hit subscribe. And if you liked this video and found it helpful, a like and a comment would be much appreciated, as I'm trying to get back into YouTube after quite a long and unintentional break, but expect to see more videos coming soon.